Hi, everyone. Patrick's about to come on and talk about universal laws, and it really helps the speaker if you come close to the front. Don't be shy. Come and sit near the front. It's much easier for the speaker to interact with you if you're all close. Please, if it's not too hard, join us near the front. Thank you. Come on, you can do it. It's warm there. I get it. But you'll get excited. You'll warm up because you're excited. So Patrick Marando is going to talk about universal laws, how they affect us, our energy system and our bodies. And I suspect the universal law that we're all most interested in is the law of attraction, which he's going to talk about. How can we attract more joy, more love, more abundance? Patrick is the man.
Yeah.
So please, let's give him a big round of applause. Patrick Marando.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I had a presentation, but we've had some technical issues, so I'll got a bit of paper here to help. The laws for me are a little bit like the seven dwarfs. I always remember maybe 5 or 6, and then never remember the other ones. And then every time I try to remember, I lose it again. But so I am here to talk about the 12 universal laws, and a bit about me. I'm an energy healer, a spiritual teacher, and psychologist and author. So I sort of try to combine all of those in my teachings and in try to help people understand the world and how it functions. So I didn't always see the world, though, how I see it today. I was raised Catholic and raised sort of very logical. So, anything that was not visible to me or non-tangible really didn't exist until I started Kung Fu. And at Kung Fu, I started learning about Qi energy. And Qi energy was really my first intro into understanding the universal laws. And so the deeper I got into that, the more I started looking into enlightenment and understanding who we truly were. And so I started meditating, I think, when I was maybe 25, probably around 25, and searching for enlightenment because I really hated the idea of being controlled by my conditioning. So I was on a train one day in Italy and I was reading a book and I sort of suddenly just woke up to who I truly was, or woke up to my soul. And that was sort of waking up to realizing that we're consciousness, so that we're just an energy force. And from there, my journey has been about understanding what that energy force is and how we can actually utilize the 12 laws to help us utilize that energy to live a more peaceful life. And that's what this talk's about. It's not necessarily about you having to use anything that I say dogmatically. It's just about having the opportunity to understand how energy works and how energy works really on a quantum level. So how it works on the quantum level is also how it works on the physical level. And we really want when we can understand that, we can bring that into our physical world. So we'll get started with the 12 universal laws. So the first law is the law of oneness. Some people call it the law of divine oneness, is where I'm going to refer to my paper in a moment. Then there's the law of vibration, law of correspondence, the law of attraction, as Rain said before. Everyone likes the law of attraction. There's the law of aligned action or inspired action, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, fancy word. The law of compensation, law of cause and effect, law of relativity, law of polarity, and also the law of gender. So there are all the laws. I'll go through them one by one, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them as we go or along the way. So if someone raises their hand, I'm happy to stop. Otherwise, we'll do it at the end, sorry. So the first law really is the law of oneness. And the law of oneness is saying that at our core, we're all one. Everything is one. So if we look at things on an energetic level, the world is actually, or the universe is actually made up of atoms. And atoms are all vibrating at different frequencies and different levels and speeds. And what that does is makes physical matter. So if we look at it right at its base core, everything is just atomic and subatomic. So if we had a microscope, we wouldn't actually be able to see the difference between me, between this floor, between the chair, between your squeaky floorboard. So everything is actually one. And when we realize that oneness, I sort of imagine it a little bit like we're all leaves on one big tree. So each leaf is responsible for photosynthesis to help keep the tree alive. And even if when the leaf falls off, it goes back into the earth and then feeds the roots again to build it again. So we are, as ourselves, we're just, that consciousness of those on that subatomic level is just representing itself in human form. And our job is to just live our truth, to let the universe live through us. often what a lot of us do now is we kind of belittle who we are. We feel bad. We feel like we're not good enough. And the reason for that is because we just realize, we just think we're just our own individual human rather than we are an extension of consciousness. We're an extension of the universe. We are part of it. So part of oneness is really understanding that we are that. And when we see ourselves as that, we see our own importance, and we see everything that we do has a direct impact on how the universe functions. But not only that, we see others as equally as important. We see them as reflections of the universe too. And then they can also have from our level of compassion, they can live their truths as part of the one. Because each of us has our role to play, and our role is equally important for all of us. It's no more important from someone, we might say is like a doctor, or we might say someone's a cleaner. There's really no disparity between that. But really our role is to be us, because it's us and the universe reflecting through us. So that's the law of oneness. And as we go through, we'll understand that each law actually connects usually to the one before. So they're all actually interconnected. So the next law is the law of vibration. And if you're interested in the law of attraction, you have to actually understand the law of vibration first. So like I mentioned before, we're all made up of atoms. And inside the atoms, there's neutrons, protons, and electrons. And protons are the positive charge, neutrons are the neutral charge, and electrons are the negative charge. And so everything we experience, so whether it be this jacket is made up of atoms vibrating, whether it be, again, the chairs, whether it be the sky, everything is, even our emotions, even like maybe the disappointment you felt when maybe Jack didn't get on the door with Rose, like everyone knows he could have fit. So that was still a vibration of an emotion. So the more we can realize what vibration we're at, and particularly from ourselves, what tells us we've got our own physical vibration. So this is my vibration of Patrick. You'll have your own individual vibrations. But even within my physical vibration, my mental and my thinking will actually create my emotional vibration then. So the way I think will then vibrate emotionally through me. So I'm feeling disappointed, then that's telling me that I'm vibrating in a certain way through my thoughts. If I'm feeling happy or joyous, it's also telling me that I'm vibrating in another way through my thoughts. And the more I'm vibrating with the protons firing more so than the electrons, the more likely that energy is going to be more positive and more joyful for us or pleasurable for us. So our emotions are really, really important for us when it comes to understanding what we're vibrating. So if you feel like someone, I know me, it took me a long while to be able to just experience joy. I was always someone who was sort of more in the moderate level of the emotional scale. So whenever I tried to experience joy, I couldn't hold that vibration because I wasn't familiar. It wasn't matching where my mind was. So what we can do at any given moment is, even if we can't sort of reach the highest level of vibration that we're trying to attain, we can decide at any given moment to move in that direction. So if I'm feeling sort of down, I might say, well, I might, think in a different way. I might say, well, at least it could be worse, or maybe I can be better later, or maybe that will change. We can change our perceptions. We can also, do some exercise will change the vibration. Just doing something self-caring. So when you understand that we are vibration and we can control our vibration to some degree, at least sort of, I think of it like a dimmer switch, slowly turning the dial up, then at any given moment we can actually choose to move in the direction of the vibration that we're after. So, and that's more empowering than just sort of being a victim of just whatever vibration we're under at the moment, because that's our current vibration is usually our habitual vibration, and what we want is having a more conscious vibration so that we can have a more peaceful journey within ourselves and our lives. So the next law is the law of correspondence. And the law of correspondence, there's a saying that goes, as within, so without. As without, so within, and as above, so below. So what the law of correspondence is saying is that the world around us is a reflection of our inner world. So on the non-physical, so how energy vibrates non-physically to physically, it all vibrates the same way. So whatever's going on internally for me is also the thing that's going to be going on externally in my life. So if I feel like I'm unappreciated, and I search for appreciation everywhere else, it's pretty likely that internally I don't appreciate myself. If I feel like everyone bullies me or I'm always victimized, it's pretty likely that I'm pretty self-critical and talking down to myself. So whatever's going on externally is mostly what's going to go on internally. So when we see things externally, we can actually then really look at, well, what is going on externally and how's that reflecting to me? What am I thinking? How am I treating myself? Am I treating myself with the kindness, the love that I want? Am I allowing myself to receive the appreciation? Am I giving myself appreciation? Because if we keep blaming the outside world, because that's what we usually do. We usually say, well, I'm going to go and search for love. I'm going to go do it all outside. And then internally we don't do anything. And that's kind of like as if I had a house with really bad foundation. I'm just going to sort of paint the walls and just put some pretty furniture in it. Now, it's really nice. It might look nice for a little while, but eventually if the house is going to fall apart, no amount of paint or pretty furniture is going to make this look really good. So really when things are going on in your life and you're seeing particularly the same patterns reinforced or coming over and over, so it could be like a string of bad relationships. Again, it could be feeling victimized. It could be feeling like you're unappreciated. It's really important to look within and really ask, now what am I doing internally that's actually reflecting what's going on externally? Because then you can actually start to change it. Then you can decide, well, actually, I can start loving myself more. I can start appreciating myself more. I can start making myself more important and setting healthy boundaries for me. So the law of correspondence is really good. It's like really looking, like I said, at a mirror. The next law is the law of, I think I've got it on here, the law of attraction, everyone's favorite. Yes, law of attraction. So the law of attraction is really like attracts like. That's really what that means. So in the energy world, when things are non-physical, if you think of something, it just automatically appears. So if I think of a Ferrari, in the energy world, there I am in a Ferrari. If I think I'm on a lovely holiday or have a lovely relationship, there I am. So energy and vibration match instantaneously to creation. So what that means for us, though, on the physical plane is that whenever we think of something, it actually creates our vibration, but our vibration actually takes time for things to manifest into reality because we're at a slower vibration than at the higher frequencies of non-physical. So what that means is whatever we're vibrating is what we're attracting. So that's where understanding the law of vibration is really, really important for the law of attraction. Because often we're so focused on what we want to attract, not actually what we're vibrating. Because what we're vibrating is actually what we're trying to get. So some of us are good at vibrating and getting money. Some can get relationships. Some of us are only good at attracting mosquitoes. So overall, we want to kind of look at what are we attracting here. To change our vibration overall, what it requires is it usually requires a change of thinking. And so I might be feeling like I'm poor, and a lot of times what people tell us is just use affirmations as an example. So I say, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm a millionaire, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. I'm sure everyone's kind of done something like that in manifesting. I know when I first started doing this, I did that as well. And what happens with that is, great, I'm saying all these lovely thoughts, but if I don't emotionally agree with that, then my vibration is actually not going to shift. What's going to happen is I'm going to feel like I'm going to say I'm rich, but my vibration is going to say I'm a pauper. I know me, sometimes when I was going through my spiritual journey and awakening, I'd have some tough times, and all I kept saying is, I just want to be happy, I just want to be happy, I just want to be happy. And all I got was more sadness. And the reason for that is all I just wanted to be happy was vibrating a lack of happiness and only vibrating sadness. So it was actually perpetuating itself. So with the law of attraction, what you want to do is you want to be able to shift your vibration now to the things you're actually wanting. So if you're wanting to be rich, we'll just use money as the example. Usually we want to be rich because we want to feel a sense of abundance and freedom. They're usually the two main ones, and sometimes self-worth is attached to that as well. So what you want to do with that then, you want to say, well, where do I have abundance now? Do I have plenty of food to eat? Do I have plenty of water? Do I have fresh, a warm house? So we really want to see where the abundance is now and thinking in the abundance now to change that vibration now. And where are you free now? Because we can always have more. So what our mind doesn't recognize is that even if I think that I want to be rich, there's a lot of rich people who don't actually vibrate abundance and are never rich enough. So they always feel poor. They always feel lacking. Or a lot of people in relationships who don't feel loved because they don't love themselves. So no matter what we're getting externally, if we're not vibrating that internally, we're not going to feel it. We're not going to let it in. So really at any given moment, you can shift your vibration, and you can shift it through shifting your thinking, through gratitude, sometimes through prayer, through meditation. Sleep is a good thing at shifting our vibration as well if we're really stuck in any patterns. So really be aware of what you're after, but more importantly, what are you vibrating on the way there? So it's not just about the destination. We want to say, how do I get there through the journey? And the next law that coincides with the law of attraction is the law of inspired action. So The law of inspired action is understanding that internally we are a soul. And through this soul part of us where we actually have an intuition that motivates us towards doing different things. And depending on what we're vibrating, we're going to feel motivated to act in different ways. So if I'm vibrating sadness, I'm going to get generally controlled by the sadness, and my action won't necessarily be inspired, but it might be angry action, it might be anxious action. When I'm vibrating a peaceful state, then what I'm going to be more inclined to do is focus on my inspired action. And inspired action is really doing what feels true to you at any given moment. So inspired action could mean that I feel like I just want to go brush my teeth, even though I've brushed them 3 times today. So inspired action doesn't have to seem super logical. It could be it could be really logical as well. It might be, I want that job and I'm going to ring out and call my ex-boss. So inspired action is always different. Part of our job really with this is that we have to really be in tune with inspired action. So the universe will bring to us the vibration we're attracting, but if we're not actually then knowing when to behave from that, so I might be on the lounge saying, I really want that job, I really want that job, I really want that job, and I get the inkling to maybe get up and email someone. I say, no, the universe has got to bring me my job to my lounge. So it's not going to work like that. So we actually have to be willing to follow our intuition, our instincts to do that. And the way to know when our action is inspired is to look to see when it feels easy, when it feels like it goes with the flow in particular. So often, even when I was writing this and getting this all organized, I thought to myself, I really got to do it and I want to get it done by certain dates. And those dates came and went. And it's not because I'm a procrastinator, I just usually follow inspired action. So my head and ego wants to do it one way, but I always try to follow, all right, when does it feel right to do it? And then it just came easily when I did that. And that's really how I live my life, through inspired action. That's getting in touch with that. But like I said, understanding your vibration first is then going to help you understand how to then engage better with inspired action. All right. Any questions about that so far? Nope. The next one's a fancy one, which is a fancy name anyway. It's the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. And all that means is that energy is always changing. It's perpetual. Energy never begins, it never dies. It's just always moving from one form to the next. So as an example, I might plant a sweet potato. It grows, it uses the soil, the energy of the soil into the ground. Then I pick the sweet potato, I use heat energy to cook the sweet potato, I eat the sweet potato, my body transmutes that energy to energy that I can talk to you and speak to you all with. And then the energy that's not used goes back out to the earth, which then feeds the sweet potato again. So energy just never dies. And that's the same for our soul energy as well. So while our physical body does die, our soul energy just continues, it just moves on to a new form. So all energy always transmutes. And from a perspective of helping live our lives more peacefully, so does emotional energy. No emotions actually stay the same the way they are. So we always have the ability from wherever we are to transmute that energy to something else. So it doesn't mean we're going to do it it doesn't mean it goes from like having a really bad hair day to having like a selfie moment. What really means is that we can just take our time to sort of maybe fix one strand of hair at a time as we move and transmute that energy. So I might feel really down or stressed after a day of work, and I might say, well, all I can manage right now is laying on the lounge and watching Seinfeld. So even that little shift is transmuting energy. And we can do that one step at a time. So we don't have to transmute the energy all at once. It really is about the decision to move in that direction of how you want to move the energy. Like I said, when I was feeling down those times, I was like, I just want to be happy, just want to be happy. I wanted to just leap from here to there. It really wasn't about that. It was me knowing how to take smaller steps that transmuted the energy to shift it. So whatever emotional state we're in, we're never stuck. You're never stuck. You've got an opportunity any given moment. It really starts from a choice and just a little step. And you can bring in aligned actions for those little steps, because you will always get an inkling to do something. But it does come down to our mentality at the end of the day for that. So next one is the law of cause and effect. And so most of us call this karma. And karma is like the law of what goes around comes around. But really what the law of cause and effect just really means is that whatever we do, there is going to be a direct effect from that. And sometimes that effect will be right then and there, and sometimes it will come later. So in the quantum world, so in terms of in the atomic world, if there's a lot of negative charge in the atom, what happens is all the atoms around it actually start to be charged negatively as well. So the cause of that then creates the effect of this. And that actually happens in our lives as well. So if I'm doing something with a negative intention, it's generally going to create a negative effect. If I'm doing something with a positive or kind intention, then it's generally going to create a more positive effect for us. So when it comes to the law of, I've just lost the law in my head, which can anyone remind me when I have it? Cause and effect, thank you. So when it comes to the law of cause and effect, we really want to then come back to our actions. We really want to ask questions like, when something happens, we want to say, well, what could I have done consciously or subconsciously that's contributed to this? Or what decisions did I make and why did I make them? We want to really understand what intention we're putting into this by looking at the consequences and the effects that we're getting back. Sometimes the law of cause and effect, while it might feel like it's a bad result, sometimes it's actually only a bad result from our mind. It actually might be a really positive result. So even then I felt a little bit embarrassed about forgetting that, but maybe it helped me feel like less anxious when everyone sort of laughed about it. So while it might have been deemed as bad to me originally, the effect was less than what I interpreted it to be. So really the cause and effect is just really an opportunity to look within again to see, what's going on in my life, what am I doing, and what actions am I taking because of what I'm receiving. And then that brings us to the law of compensation. So the law of compensation is that everything we put in energetically, we get back. So we get compensated for the efforts we put in. So if we put in lots of effort it's not just effort, it's effort in the aligned way. If we put effort in the aligned way, then we're likely to get that back. So as an example, I helped someone the other day, but we don't always get it back, in the way we think. So I helped someone the other day with something, and they didn't pay me for it, but they gave me some socks, which I'm actually wearing today, just to show you. They're 4-leaf clover socks. I felt like I needed to wear them. So yes, it wasn't what I expected as a compensation, but it was compensation nonetheless. So we always do get compensated though, and part of our job is part of the problems here usually is that we want to be compensated straight away. So I might say, I helped that person and they didn't help me back. Or, no, I worked really, really, really hard at work and I didn't get that pay rise, or I didn't get the promotion. So part of the job with the law of compensation is internally just recognizing that you will be compensated. And a lot of times the compensation could be things like money, could be things like relationships, could be personal growth, it could be like gifts. So the compensation can come in many different forms. And our job is to be aware of what the compensation is. So when it comes to the law of compensation, we have to also be aware that it's not going to come always the way we want it either. It's kind of like, I think of it like we're going on a treasure hunt on a deserted island and you're just only looking for the treasure, but along the way you maybe found some fresh water, which was really important to keep you alive, or you found some food, or you found like a nice animal or a pretty vista. Without understanding that they're actually gifts in themselves, and you're only focusing on the goal, then you're going to miss all the compensation that you're getting for the energy you're putting out. So that's really important, is to really not keep count. It's just sort of just be aware and appreciative of the things you do have, because a lot of times that is the compensation for what you've done. So then that brings us to the law of relativity. So the law of relativity is that nothing exists unless it's relative to something. So if it was literally just me standing without a stage, without anything else here, it would just literally me being in a void. And if I'm in a void, then I actually will cease to exist to some degree. It's just an awareness with nothing to reflect back to it. So relativity is really just saying that everything exists in contrast to something else. So good only exists because of bad. Cold only exists because of heat. Happy only because of sad. Healthy because of unhealthy. So relativity is really just saying that everything is an interpretation, and a subjective interpretation at that. So often what we might say like, I'm too ugly, as an example. So we hate ourselves for being too ugly, but I'm ugly compared to what? What am I comparing it to? And what makes that the truth? Is that an opinion, or is that reality? Is that objective or subjective? Now, we've all heard the saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And what that's really saying is that everything is relative. And when we understand that everything is relative, then what we can do is we can recognize whatever we're thinking, we don't have to hold it so concrete. We don't have to believe it so vehemently. So I might believe I'm really not good enough compared to what? And then what we can actually start doing is be able to shift our perception more to give us more peace in how we feel about ourselves. Because really our peace is being taken away because we're viewing it too factually rather than relatively. And the next law is quite similar to that one, and that's the law of polarity. So the law of polarity really indicates that while everything exists, it only exists in comparison to the other. Again, similar to relativity, but it's different that cold and hot, they're not two different things. They're actually two ends of one continuum. So the same could be said with happy or sad, like I said before. Could also be with, like I said, pretty ugly. They only exist on two ends of the spectrum. And so they exist as points of contrast, and that's why they're there. So everything has its pole opposite, but they're all on one side. So when I'm feeling sad, it's an opportunity to move me towards happy. If I didn't know happy, or if I didn't know sad, I would never actually know happy. So I would never actually be able to find happiness unless I was able to experience sadness. So if I was just always happy, I'd kind of just be in a state like a potato, pretty much. Like I wouldn't know that I was happy, I'd just be like that. And overall, what we want to recognize is that whenever we're feeling in a place where we're not feeling so great, we want to recognize, due to the law of polarity, is that this is an opportunity to move more towards the other side. And we can move to the other side in different ways. We can move by shifting our thinking. We can also shift our behaviors to move to the other side. But we really want to recognize that we're not stuck there, that we can do that at any given moment with the polarity. Often, I know even me, when I first started doing this work, I would always say, well, why can't I just be there already? Like, I didn't want to go on the journey. It's like, just make me happy already. Why do I have to feel sad to be happy? Or can't I just be happy like 99.9% of the time? And then sometimes I was like in that, and I realized like when I was too much in that and I'd forgotten what it felt like not to feel so great. It was kind of like watching a movie with no plot twists. Or maybe another example, maybe like watching Teletubbies or something. It's bright and shiny, but boring as hell. So when you can be more okay with that contrast, and you can actually start moving to the polarity slowly and just enjoying the journey there rather than just always trying to chase the destination. So that's the law of polarity. Then we have, I think, the law of rhythm, and that's got nothing to do with my dancing skills. So the law of rhythm really is that in life, everything has its own rhythm, that nothing just stays the same. Everything's always moving, flowing. There's always the ebbs and flows all the time. So we can say the seasons do that. We can say times in our lives. We might also say that the stock market does that as well. So, and even our emotions do that too. And sometimes whatever's going on in the flow, sometimes we feel like we're kind of like we're okay to dance with that music. And other times we hate that music, so I refuse. So I'm going to be very stubborn and not go along with this music because I don't like it. We kind of like throw a tantrum to whatever's in the flow at that moment. I've thrown plenty of tantrums, so I'm not judging here. But overall, what we want to recognize is that just because we're in a state of this now, so I might be in a period of growth. So if I'm in a period of growth, I might actually be in a period of a lot of emotional pain. But after that period of growth, there will be a period of realization, which is generally followed by a period, which is a period of peace. And then from that, I might be in a period of action. So whatever rhythm we're in, it's always there, and we're always able to recognize that the rhythms are going to change eventually. So next time you're feeling like you're stuck, just recognize that things will change. It's not stuck there. You can change firstly with your mind, but the rhythm will change all by itself. It's kind of like, I think of it like having like maybe a Spotify playlist that you didn't choose necessarily, or that you chose maybe vibrationally and unconsciously. Is that sometimes the music is music you love and you're really happy to dance to, and other times the music is crap and you just can't change it. You've got one of those free ones where you can't actually fast forward. You've exhausted all your fast forwards for the day. The other thing with the law of, I've just lost it again, rhythm, thank you, my lack of dancing, is that we also don't expect everything to be perfect, knowing that. Is that when we understand that everything does have its own rhythm, is that we recognize that, sure, things aren't always perfect. That's okay. I don't always have to have everything bright and shiny. Okay, I'm okay to sort of deal with the rougher times. And also learning to deal with the rougher times of that rhythm actually helps teach you more dance moves. So it actually teaches you more skills and more inner qualities to actually know how to navigate all terrains of the world, not just the smooth roads. So then we've got the last law, I got there, right, is the law of gender. And the law of gender has nothing to do with our gender identity, although that does come under that a little bit. But the law of gender really is saying that within all of us, we have masculine and feminine qualities. And each individual one of us has those at our own individual level. So some masculine qualities might be things like being active, problem-solving, logical, maybe aggression, whereas the female qualities are generally going to be more creative, more emotional, more caring and considerate. So we've all got all of those within us. So say for me, I learned that being aggressive was bad. So that would be more of a masculine quality. So I learned to suppress that and be more accepting of things. But what happened the more I suppressed that, the more I was actually more internally aggressive. So I couldn't quite suppress it, it was already in there. So what we want to recognize is that we have all of these and that all of these can serve us at any given moment. It doesn't make us less of a man or more of a woman if we have a more masculine or feminine quality. So you don't have to be man, woman, or non-binary. It's not really about that. It's about everyone has masculine and feminine qualities within them. It's not just man has masculine qualities. And it's about finding our own inner balance. That's really what it's about finding within us. To understand that sometimes it's useful to work hard and sometimes it's useful to rest. Sometimes it's useful to be logical. Sometimes it's useful to be emotional. When we can blend them in, we can actually then flow more freely with those two aspects, or that yin and yang. So that's really important as well, to bring balance within yourself and peace. Because really peace does come when you have that inner balance, when you have everything in unison together. So they're the 12 laws. A lot of the laws are actually that's just how energy functions. It's just how they work. And this is just descriptions of the laws rather than me actually saying these are how we have to do them. But what we can do by understanding the laws, we can understand how to utilize them to move towards our greatest peace at any given moment. So we have that opportunity to shift our perception and shift our approach to go along with the universe rather than to fight against the universe at any given stage. Because often that's what our ego or our conditioned mind would do. It really goes against. Because we want to feel good and we want everything to be in our control rather than match us to the universe. We want the universe to match our minds. So the more you practice that, the better you will get at that. And I know for me, that's just something that I've got better and better and better at over time. And that's really the opportunity why I wanted to have this talk today, just to help you understand that, to give you the opportunity to find freedom, and not only that, but to find empowerment in any given moment of your lives. Because we're not necessarily victims. We do have some degree of control and some degree of ability to move in the directions we want, which is really the more peaceful direction. So thank you very much for coming today. There is time for questions, I'm pretty sure. Yep. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer. If no one's got any questions, then I'm happy to go get a coffee. Yes, yes. I don't really know the Hermetic laws, so I can't really say, unfortunately. Yeah. I think I have read about them once, but I don't have enough knowledge. But I think there is some overlap from memory. Yeah. Sorry about that. Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
Having outcomes and expectations to results,
Mm-hmm.
actually being able to surrender that
Mm-hmm.
and allowing what comes, what universal law does that actually fall under? Because I think it's law of attraction, but it's also under probably one of the first that you might have mentioned.
So.
Life gets difficult when you try to control an outcome
Mm.
and expectations of your experiences and think forward. So if you're in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
and you're allowing what happens and let the universe conjure your experiences through how you're feeling internally,
Mm-hmm.
where does that fit?
Yeah. I think it probably fits under a combination of them, but the first law I would work on would be the law of vibration. So what am I currently vibrating? So if you're vibrating resistance, then you're going to bring more resistance. Can I vibrate peace? So usually when we don't like what's going on, the question was what universal law is in action when we're having to surrender to what's going on. So when we're having to surrender to some degree, we don't actually have to surrender. We can stay in resistance. There's no right or wrong with these universal laws. But usually if I'm not surrendering, it's usually because I might be feeling sad about what I'm seeing. So it's usually an emotion that I'm feeling that's stopping me from wanting to surrender. So part of that would be, can I be okay with that emotion? Can I be okay, firstly, with the current vibration that I'm at? And that current vibration in this case would be sadness. And once I'm okay with that sadness, then I can actually start to follow the transmutation of perpetual energy. I can change my vibration. I can use a combination of those laws there too. So if I'm not okay with sadness, I might be not okay with sadness because I want to take action. So maybe I'm using too much masculine energy rather than can I be okay to bring in the feminine energy. And so there's usually a combination of them that you can use at any given moment. Overall, it's really about finding that inspired action is really important. When you understand inspired action, that's going to be the part that helps you understand what to do and when to do it, if to do anything at all, because even doing nothing can be inspired action. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah. It seems like there might be more layers to it, but yeah, I'm free. I'll be here all weekend, so I'm happy if anyone wants to come and chat to me as well. But does anyone have any more? Yes. Yep. I'll give you a little bit now. I'm actually doing a talk later today that's going to be a lot about that as well. But yeah, so inspired action really is about following your intuition. That's probably the main thing. But following our intuition or our gut. A lot of us, though, don't know how to follow our intuition or gut too well. It's in there, but we've been taught to follow like our thinking or our logic, or to do things that feel like, so it might be, say, me talking in front of people. I'm not really someone who generally loves talking in front of people. It usually gives me a little bit of anxiety because my mind always thinks, oh, what are people going to think? Are they going to think it's stupid? So if I had to listen to my emotion in that case, what I would say is I definitely wouldn't be up here right now. But I know internally there's a part of me that really feels that this feels true to me. True is the best word. Not necessarily good to me, but true to me. And understanding what feels true to you at any given moment is really the important part for inspired action. So sometimes we understand what feels true to us by what feels crappy to us as well. So it might feel, oh, that just felt like it really went against my grain. So we can sort of learn it from two sides. And we just get better and better at understanding what inspired action is. The more you're aware of your conditioning and your habits, the more you can see what's driving you. And like I said, that's what I'm going to be doing a whole talk about at, I think, 4:55. Yeah. I think stage 2. Yeah, from memory. Yeah. But even then, like I know that my conditioning doesn't like that, but the more I follow inspired action, it generally is easy, joyous, pleasurable, rewarding. So, and that's usually the direction we start moving away from just our conditioning then. Yeah. Any more questions? Or I think my time might be... Oh, my time's up, so I just got the... Thank you very much for coming. I look forward to seeing you all here. Thank you so much. Thank you.